Okay, hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Another episode on the Porsche. I haven't done anything on it for a little while, but things have been happening, if that makes sense. So the last video I made, I was doing the brake calipers, and what happened there is the bleed nipples on two calipers broke off in the housing. So I started to drill one of them out myself, but it wasn't going well, so I thought, oh, better get it done professionally. So I have had it done professionally, and they're both in this box, and we're gonna have a quick look together how they've come out. So let me get you in here. Okay, so once they were done, and I'm looking at these for the first time now, so let's see. The guy gave me a call and said, yeah, they're all done, got the bolts out and everything, and I was like, yeah, brilliant, fantastic. And then he says, oh, but Joel, and I thought, oh God, what now? And he said, when we were retapping, or drilling them out and retapping the threads, the fitment, which I sent along with it, which is this, he said it was a little bit loose. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's really not good, because if it's loose in there, then it ain't gonna work, is it? And I can already see, basically it's loose if the guy who's doing the job drills too deep, or too wide. And I can already see that it's not looking good. So, and I've been worried about this because he sent them through when I wasn't here, when I was away traveling on business. So I've been worrying about this. And now I can see that essentially, so I hope you can see that, but I mean, obviously it screws in, but there's a lot of wobble, and that means some of the thread has been, you know, eaten away by the drilling. You can see, I don't know if you can let me see, can you actually see in there? Yeah, you can see there's virtually no thread there. So I told him beforehand though, before he started drilling and doing the work, I said, they're really, really expensive. So we have one chance at this. And he's like, yeah, it's all not a problem, not a problem. And then I see after he's done the work that these are very loose. So obviously brakes, you don't want to mess about with. Now I can tighten that. And maybe it's acceptable to put a little bit of PTFE tape with them. I don't know. But if not, because they are, look at this, look, that's halfway in. And there is a lot of play there. Yeah? Okay, so let's try the other one first. So that's one. Let me just check any scratches. Everything's still there. Yes. Seems okay. What about this one? I can't remember which one it was now. Was it that one? No, that was all right, that one. That's fine. What about this one here? This looks better, this one. Don't know if you can see that. I mean, to be honest, it's a really hard job, you know, so I mean, that one's better. So actually, which one's this one? Oh, that's the back. So this is the front one, this is the back one. And out of the two, this one's the most expensive. And that's the one that hasn't worked out very well. But this one here doesn't look too bad. But let me see if there's any damage. I mean, it is wobbly, don't get me wrong. You know, if you imagine that's the repaired one. So there is wobble there. And the other ones which came out fine, that's this one over here. So this is an OEM thread, as it were. Let's just get this in here. Oh, well, there's wobble in that one as well. So actually this one hasn't gone too badly, in all honesty. But I do see that he's drilled down. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but he has. God, yeah, honestly, getting the right people to do this job, and it's with this project, I've just found it so difficult. A couple of you did recommend people who are in the UK who can do this, but just finding people locally is really tricky. They're all like, yeah, not a problem, and then they try the work and then they do it and they're like, oh yeah, no, it didn't quite work out. And I don't get that mentality. I think it's something to do with responsibility. You know, they just like, well, we'll give it a go and we'll say it'll work because we really hope. They don't mean badly. It's just they hope it's going to work and we'll give it a go. And they really want to help me on the project. But then when it doesn't go right, it's like, oh yeah, c'est la vie. You know, that's the way it is. And with these sorts of cars, you can't work with that mentality because they're just too expensive to get wrong. I think used, a good set of calipers is like 1,600 or 2,000 euros, which is insane, you know. I mean, it's not something I can afford. I'll have to do some testing, and I guess the only way to test these really is when they're on the car, but I can already see this one. This one is pretty bad, you know. I mean, it will hold, but the question is whether it'll hold the fluid in there. What do you guys think? I could use a time cert or a helicoil, drill them out bigger and put them in. I mean, there is always that possibility. Okay, so next job is one of the last brake lines that I've got to put on. I'd actually forgotten to order it originally, so when I was assembling everything I realised, oh yeah, I hadn't ordered it. It wasn't in any of the boxes, so it's the one that basically goes from the what would you call that? The junction box? I don't know what it's called. This thing in here, look. This bit here. Right down to the front left-hand side brake caliper. So I'm going to put it on time lapse now and get that fitted. That is that in. It's quite fiddly, as I've said before, because the brake lines have to be clipped in the exact position and orientation, and I mean exact, before that screws in. It's quite phenomenal. But I've put some grease on here. I'll probably put some wax on that section after you know, when I'm absolutely done. Just spray some wax over it because that's where they start rusting. And yeah, I've just popped that in there. Doesn't seem to be a huge amount of room for everything there because this little clip protrudes through, but obviously it's not going to fit in that one. So I've seen here as well, I need to put a little clip in there, so I'm going to find one now and put one in. Okay, so that is now in. This has nothing to do with this because they're just universal clips, so don't worry that that's not clipped in there. That's normal. It's clipped in there, it's clipped in there. And I did realise or notice that this is banging against the body there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ease that away, bend it very slightly so it's not hitting against there, because that will rub through the paint and then rust. And obviously I'll lubricate this and I'll put some wax in this area here when I'm ready to fit the calipers. So that's that small job done. Okay, so there's another job that I thought of while I was doing that brake line, and I got the idea from Tim's BMW repairs. So if you don't know Tim, go over there and have a look at his channel. I follow him because obviously I've got a BMW as well, and he just gives you really helpful tips how to fix stuff. And when I was watching him the other day, he described a problem that I have on my car, and essentially it's the washers for the headlights, because I've got xenon headlights on the car. They have to have, by law, I believe, jet wash. And basically when I go to use mine, you can hear the motor running, so it goes bzzz like that, but the headlight washers don't come up because they basically protrude out of the headlight with the pressure of the water traveling through them, and then spray the headlight. But as I say, mine doesn't do it, but it does make the noise. So what he said was, and he shows you how to do it on his latest video, is to go to the position where the washers go into, or the motors go into, or the pumps, I should say, sorry, go into the reservoir, and you can remove them. I've put some WD-40 on there, and I've removed it already. So you can go in there and you can see a handy little gauze there, and mine is looking pretty disgusting. So what I'm going to do is, and I don't know if there's one in there as well, I guess by default there probably should be, so I'll take that one out as well. And he cleaned his and said that's the problem, and he cleaned it and it worked fine. So that's what I'm hoping my problem is, because I dare say that has never ever been cleaned in its almost 20-year life. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so I just cleaned that all up with warm water and soap, and I didn't take my camera with me unfortunately, but first of all it's come out a lot cleaner. There's a bit of a patch there which doesn't come off because that's where it fits under the wheel arch, and I guess the weather and stone chips and stuff, they get to it. But anyway, it's looking a lot better, and it was quite phenomenal actually how much gunk and crap came out of this thing. You can see there, that's where the pumps are inserted, and it basically sits like that on the inside of the wing. And yeah, lots and lots of stuff came out of it. And also, I don't know if I videoed actually the gauze before, like the filter, but there's still a bit in there which I can't get out at the moment, but it is basically changed color, and it was completely, because it's white now more or less, and yeah, it works, which is the main thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the air pump on, or the compressor on, and then blast that out, see if I can get the last bits out, and then start putting everything back together. Okay, so that made a massive difference using the compressor on there at the end. It's got it absolutely perfectly clean now, so that should work an absolute treat. Okay, so I've reassembled all of this using the Land Rover as a workbench as usual. It's a really nice height to work on actually. Not great for the paint work, but what I'm going to do now is, because this is all looking pretty messy, I'm going to tidy all this up a little bit, give this a clean up. Okay, so I've got all those tubes and cables tidied up. The only thing that I haven't got is some of that, I don't know really what you call it. It's like a material black tape, wiring loom tape, and I haven't got any of that. So I'm going to get some, and then I'm going to tape this up again because it's looking pretty sparse here, and retape these holders as well, these little clips here and here, because that's looking a bit manky, and then I'll be done. Okay, so I did find some tape after all. It's not quite the same tape that was on there, but I think it'll be fine. And I think now I'm going to leave it there today. I haven't really done that much, but I've been up here for a couple of hours, and I'm just going to tidy up. Okay, so having done this tape on the wiring loom yesterday afternoon, using the wrong tape, I wasn't really happy with it, so I went to the hardware store last night and they actually had some. So it's called wiring loom tape. So I've got some of that there. I've got actually 3 rolls of it, because essentially I've done my connections here with the new resistors on the fan with that electrical tape as well, electrical insulation tape, which I suppose isn't a bad thing, but it should really be this stuff. So, and I'm also not 100% happy with my connections here. So I'm gonna, I don't know, I might end up taking those apart again and doing them again. But for now, I'm going to take off all of this old tape, even where it was originally there. So I'm gonna take all of that off, clean up the cables, and put new stuff on. Okay, so the state of the tape on this cable loom goes further back than beyond this this outlet here. So what I've done is I've taken off some of the bigger parts, pump there, of this wiring loom, and pulled it back through the chassis. So that means I can actually get all the way back to there. I mean, I'm quite surprised. It's pretty loosely bound, to be honest. it's not exactly protected by that tape, it's just held together. So when I'm doing it, I'm actually doing it, or I'm going to do it slightly more solid than that. So I'm going to start taking it apart now. Okay, so I've cleaned up all of the cables, taken all the sticky gunk off them, and now I'm going to start wrapping them again from about down here. Just by doing that tape, so I've done it all the way along there, it looks really smart, but I've sort of answered my own question as to why they do it more loosely like that, just down in here, is because when you do the tape, you know, like wrap it round on itself and it's completely solid, it makes this wiring loom very difficult to bend, and I'm sure that's why they did it quite loosely in the first place, so the wiring loom remains quite bendable. But anyway, so that's fine. I've done it now anyway. This cable comes out here. The only thing I need to do now is put back in the extra clips to hold it in place. So I'm going to feed it back through the chassis and do that now. Okay, so that is everything clipped in and going through the chassis there. All looks really neat. And coming up through there, everything's been redone in the right tape. So I'm much happier with that now. I just realized I've actually got one more clip to put on there, which goes 70 millimeters from the outlet to here. Right, that's the last clip on, and I am now done with this wiring loom. Okay, so it's actually getting quite exciting, little things like this. I've put in the bolt here, securing the, I think this is the either speed sensor and or ABS. I think there's another one that goes on there, can't remember. So I've put them in the holders with a little bit of protection. That going down in there, that is to the leveling sensor for the headlights, and then also put these clips back on here and here. So slowly but surely coming together.